the other thing here is I had Crispy make this hex stoplight and beaker setup where we can see, okay, if what does it mean if there's more hex in the pools or less? Well, if there's more hex in the pools, like hundreds of millions, we have the red stoplight because it means that the market is being flooded out. There's lots of hex. Hex is no longer scarce. It's abundant. It's everywhere, and it's cheap. And the reverse of that would be if the green, we get a stoplight that turns green, it means like it's full on go. Green candles are printing. There's a huge shortage of hex for the market, and the market demand is really outpacing its ability to supply hex to the market. It's being absorbed and accumulated by a few strong players that's moving the market forward. And we find ourselves today somewhere in the middle, around 45 million. I'm sorry, 134 million hex in the pools, but this was as high as 225 million at the peak. So about half of that has been, and that's a moving target because people sell into it and then people pull it off, so that the overall trend ends up looking something like this, where it's like a little bit up, a little bit down, a little bit up, a little bit down, but the overall trend is that it's been getting evaporated out of the market for some time.
And evaporated, is that, what does that tell us as far as, you say people are soaking it up? You think they're taking it off market? They're holding it?
They're taking it off market. Yep. These whales that are, I got to go back and find them again, but like this one guy we keep keying on that bought the 300 million. That guy's been buying this whole range down here. And so what they're doing is, yeah, like Crispy said earlier, he staked 300 million for 14 days, and then he took the other. He's sitting on another 90 some million. So they're just going to take that off market, and then they basically control like a lot of the active supply at these levels because the price is so cheap that a seller doesn't have as much power to push the chart down. And because this guy did this slowly over time, he's bought his time back on the chart. Unless you can convince another big whale to dump like $1 billion to get it down, you're not going to be able to. It's very unlikely that you're going to convince another big holder to just dump hundreds of millions back into the pools, right? Because that's such a hard thing to obtain in time. The amount of time that it takes to mint hundreds of millions of hex is very, very long. And the guys sitting on their stack are probably putting it to work either through liquidity or through staking, or like this has been the longest, most brutal redistribution of hex from it being hyperinflated over this period of time. Like, this whole period here, this was hex hyperinflation. And this is when the price goes up the most and you're getting the most adoption. And there's also the most hexes coming onto the market until the top. And then all that extra hex gets flooded back through the system and like backs up the pipe, so to speak, until the flow of water catches up to the right proper rate. And then that's when you start to get that bottoming where there's a shortage again. And you can start to curve your way out with, increased adoption or just consolidation of that overflow into a few hands that are looking to make this market again. So yeah, here we are back at the base again. This is going all the way back to 2020 April, candle close here. This big, I'm going to make a big purple line here. This is where we were when in April 2020, right? At 0028, when after Godwell pumped us up, and then the following week, the market took it higher. This was also support back in June, and then it was like, support before big payday, and then it was support at big payday. So this is what I call the legacy trend line, or the legacy support line. Like, this is the level that should hold, unless this thing's a piece of dirt and it's just going to go to zero. This, like, if you were to crack this level, it would put into question a lot about EHEX's merit and like the kind of the merit of HEX on PulseChain as well, because the whole store of value narrative would kind of fade away. And if you did get, let's say you did, I don't really see that, but if you did get a push down, let's say like this, someone's going to come in and snipe up literally billions of it, so that they just took it off. They could take billions off the market all at once, and it would have the same effect. This thing would just go poof. It would be like all that supply all at once would get sniped. Because don't forget how many hundreds of millions of dollars are out there in crypto, and that during this period here from October of 21, where are we at here? Somewhere in here, from like, let's say from this zone till the following October here, we traded $6 billion of volume inside of this box. $6 billion. So where'd the money go? It didn't all get spent on cocaine and hookers, guys. Smart money did take some of that off the table, and they're sitting on it in the background. And they're using it down here to reload. Yeah, it takes a long time for a lot of this stuff to play out.
Yeah, it's a big lesson, right? I mean, I'm sure people more experienced have already known this, that you got to be prepared after you hit those tops for a year, sometimes almost 2 years before you're going to take another action.